This is my super easy 3-ingredient nut butter cups recipe. Hi and welcome back to Low Carb Abode. I'm Ludmilla. For this recipe, I'm only using keto chocolate chips, a nut butter like almond butter, and a powdered sweetener like Swerve confectioners. I'm starting off by melting 2 cups of keto-friendly chocolate chips. I'm using the semi-sweet chocolate chips by Bake Believe that are sweetened with stevia and erythritol. You could also use Lily's chocolate chip, or if you don't have any keto chocolate chips in your area, you could try using 90% or higher chocolate. So any professional baker or chef would tell you to melt your chocolate over a double boiler, also known as a water bath, to keep the chocolate from being burnt. But I'm not a professional and I'm just doing it my way over a direct flame. I'm keeping my heat very low and so far I haven't burnt any chocolate. But to be on the safer side, do use a double boiler. Stir the chocolate constantly until it's completely melted and it looks like Nutella. Then your chocolate is ready to fill the bottom of your molds. I find this whole process is easiest by using silicone molds. I'm using this mini muffin silicone pan that has 24 cups. You could also use a regular size muffin pan, but then keep in mind that each cup would be bigger and therefore would have more calories and more carbs. I really like using silicone pans for this kind of recipe as they make it quite easy to remove the peanut butter or almond cups afterwards. They're also great for making mini muffins or egg muffins. If you don't have a silicone pan or silicone liners, you could try using a regular muffin tin with liners. Also, as you can see, I'm using a metal tray underneath my silicone pan. This will make it easy to move this pan into the freezer and out. So to make my chocolate bottoms here, I simply spread about 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of melted chocolate in the bottom of each cup, and making sure that I cover the bottom completely and also pulling up the chocolate about halfway up. Basically, you want to create a little chocolate cup where you can add your dollop of nut butter later. Once you spread the chocolate into each cup, you can place your pan into the freezer for about 10 minutes until the chocolate is hardened. In the meantime, we can go ahead and prepare our nut butter. So today I'm using almond butter, but you could also use peanut butter or even macadamia nut butter. I have 1 cup of nut butter and I'm adding a 1/4 cup of Swerve sweetener confectioner. You could also use powdered erythritol or monk fruit based sweetener. You may want to experiment around a bit with the amount of sweetener you use. I think a 1/4 cup is good, but some may want more or less. So just give it a try and see if the peanut butter or almond butter is sweet enough for you. Also, I like to buy the butter that doesn't have any added oils, as often cheap, unhealthy oils are used for peanut butter. Keep in mind though that with these kind of natural butters, the oil separates and you need to stir it in well so the texture is nice and smooth. Now we're ready to fill our chocolate cups with our sweetened nut butter. I place a dollop of my butter right in the center of my chocolate cups, and I'm using about 1 teaspoon for each cup. Now, if you're using a regular size muffin pan instead of the kind of pan I'm using, the mini muffin pan, you may want to increase this amount to about 2 teaspoons for each cup. Now, the consistency of your nut butter can vary, and this depends on a few factors. For one, it depends on the kind of nut butter you use, almond butter, macadamia nut, or peanut butter, and also if any additional oils are used in your nut butter. It also depends on the type of sweetener you use and how much sweetener you use. Lastly, it depends on the temperature in your house or whether or not you have stored the butter in your fridge. As you can see, my nut butter is rather thick, kind of like a Play-Doh consistency. But in the past, I have also used nut butters that are on the runnier side. So if that's the case with your nut butter, don't be worried, it will still work for the recipe. Okay, once we have divided the nut butter between all the cups, we can go ahead and place the tray in the freezer again and freeze it for another 10 or 15 minutes until the nut butter is solid enough for us to add the last layer of chocolate. So it's possible that your melted chocolate has firmed up again during this whole process. And if it did, just place the pot of chocolate again over your water bath or the low direct heat to melt it once more. And then we can go ahead and spread the melted chocolate over the cups again, about 1 teaspoon or so of melted chocolate over each portion. And this will be a thin layer, and I'm actually using my finger to spread it around. I just want to make sure that all of the peanut butter or almond butter is covered with some chocolate. So for this recipe, if you also used unsweetened natural almond butter, you would end up with about 2 grams of net carbs for each almond butter cup and about 1 gram of sugar. The nutrition information is very similar if you use peanut butter. And now we can place the tray one last time in the freezer for again about 10 minutes, which is enough time for the chocolate to turn solid. And as you can see, the cups are super easy to remove with the silicone pan that I'm using. You want to store these cups in your fridge because otherwise the chocolate will become very soft. For long-term storage, you can place them in an airtight container in your freezer. They make the best sweet treat for both adults and kids. They are melt in your mouth delicious, crunchy chocolate and irresistibly creamy nut butter. So forget about Reese's cups and try these nut butter cups instead. Don't forget to let me know what you think of this recipe, and I will make sure to add the recipe link in the description below. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.